I never expected to hear that question from Grandpa. What happened to the BMW we gave you? The words hit me harder than I thought. It wasn't just about the car. It was about everything I had lost. My name is Emma. I never imagined that such a simple question would shatter the fragile walls I had carefully built around myself. The kind of question that brings everything you've been hiding out into the open. What happened to the BMW we gave you? As I stood on the curb, the rain falling in drizzles around me, I found myself standing in front of Grandpa's house once again. The taxi door slammed shut behind me. The sound was deafening in the quiet evening. The weight of everything I had been running from felt unbearable. My palms were clammy, and my heart raced, but I knew there was no turning back. I had avoided this moment for too long. I had been driving through the streets for hours after leaving my office for the last time. It wasn't like me to avoid family, but it wasn't just the family I had been avoiding. It was myself. I wasn't sure who I was anymore. And yet here I was. Grandpa's house, where it all began, my roots, my safe place. The house had been a place of comfort since I was a child. No matter what happened in the outside world, this was where I would find peace. But today, it felt different. There was no comfort to be found here, just an overwhelming sense of disappointment in myself. I took a deep breath, pushing through the memories. The house felt the same. The old porch swing that I had spent countless hours on as a kid. The smell of home-cooked meals wafting from the kitchen. The creak of the floorboards as I stepped onto the front porch. Everything was as it should be, but not for me. Grandpa stepped out, his face lighting up when he saw me, but his eyes quickly filled with concern. "Emma, is that you?" His voice trembled slightly with surprise. "Why did you come by taxi? What happened to your BMW?" I froze, feeling the question hit me like a punch in the gut. For months, I had avoided confronting him. I couldn't bring myself to explain it all. The truth about the BMW, about my life, was something I wasn't ready to face. But I didn't know how much longer I could keep pretending that everything was okay. I took a shaky step forward, my heart hammering in my chest. My mouth went dry, and I felt the sting of tears threatening to fall. I had let Grandpa down in so many ways. How could I explain what had happened? How could I tell him that the car wasn't just a symbol of success, it was a symbol of everything I had lost along the way? 3 months ago, everything had seemed perfect. I had the job, the car, the life I thought I wanted. The BMW was more than just a car. It was a symbol of everything I had worked for, the late nights, the missed birthdays, the relationships that had been put on hold. It was my reward for all the sacrifices I had made. I was proud of what I had achieved, or at least, I thought I was. Growing up, my parents always told me that hard work would pay off. They didn't have much when I was younger, so they drilled it into me that success came from working for it, and I believed them. I believed that the harder I worked, the more I would have to show for it. I would prove that I wasn't like everyone else in my family who had settled for mediocrity. When I landed my first big job at Harris & Associates, I thought it was the beginning of everything I'd worked for. I was young, ambitious, and eager to climb the corporate ladder. The other employees in the office seemed impressed with my work ethic. They saw me as a rising star, but what they didn't see were the cracks forming beneath the surface. Harris was my boss. He was the one who had promised me the promotion, the recognition, the respect. He told me I was doing everything right. I believed him. I worked harder than anyone else in the office. I sacrificed my evenings, my weekends, and sometimes my sanity just to keep up. But no one told me that all that hard work wasn't going to guarantee me anything in the end. I spent my nights hunched over a desk, typing away at reports, dealing with clients, and ensuring everything was perfect. I ignored calls from friends. I canceled dinner plans with my family. I barely saw anyone except my coworkers and the occasional acquaintance from a networking event. All I cared about was my job. All I cared about was getting that promotion. But when the day finally came, the day I thought would change everything, I walked into the office and found an email that would change my life forever. My promotion wasn't mine. It was given to someone else, someone who had more experience. As the email put it, someone who had been working in the field for a few extra years. I sat in my office staring at the screen, my heart sinking. All of those late nights, all of the sacrifices had been for nothing. I couldn't believe it. I had given up everything for this, and yet, I was still overlooked. I thought the BMW would make it all better. It wasn't just a car. It was a representation of my success, my worth. But as I sat there in my office, staring at the rejection, I realized that the BMW was just another lie I had been telling myself. That day, I grabbed the keys to the BMW, desperate to feel something. I needed to escape. I needed to prove to myself that I wasn't just a failure, that I wasn't just someone who had been beaten down by life. I threw myself into the car, starting the engine and speeding off before I even had a chance to think about what I was doing. The engine purred beneath me, and for a brief moment, it felt like I was in control. I drove faster, weaving in and out of traffic. The world around me seemed to blur, and for a brief moment, I could feel the power of the car under my control. I felt invincible. I thought that if I just drove far enough, I could outrun everything, every failure, every disappointment. But it didn't take long before the thrill wore off. The faster I drove, the more I realized that it wasn't the car I needed to fix things. It wasn't the promotion, it wasn't the BMW. It was me. I was the problem. I remember the sharp turn, the screech of the tires, the moment when I lost control. The world spun around me, and then the crash came, a loud, deafening crash. I don't remember much after that, just the sound of shattering glass, the smell of burning rubber, and then silence. I woke up in a daze, the rain falling softly outside the wreckage of the car. My head hurt and I felt disoriented, but I was alive. The car, on the other hand, was a total loss. The once shiny BMW was now a crumpled mess of metal and broken glass. The sight of the car made my heart ache. I had worked so hard for it, and now it was gone. But it wasn't just the car I had lost, it was everything: my confidence, my self-worth, my dreams. I was left with nothing but the cold, empty feeling that I wasn't good enough. I stumbled out of the car, my hands trembling, my knees weak. I had no idea where I was, no idea how long I had been unconscious. But when I stood up, I realized something. The BMW wasn't the problem, it never was. The problem was that I had been using it as a crutch, a way to fill the void inside me that nothing could fill. And now, standing here in front of Grandpa, I had to face the truth. I had avoided this moment for so long. I had avoided facing myself, avoiding telling him what had happened. How could I explain to him that I had lost myself in my pursuit of something? That didn't matter, Grandpa, I said, my voice trembling. I lost the BMW in a crash. But it wasn't just the car, I lost myself. I thought that if I kept working harder, if I kept pushing, I would find happiness. But it wasn't enough. I don't know who I am anymore. Grandpa's face softened, and he reached out to take my hand in his. Emma, that car didn't define you. Your success is not about the things you have, but about the person you are. You've always had everything you need inside you. And at that moment, I realized that he was right. The car had never been the problem. The problem was that I had been living for the wrong reasons. I had been so focused on what I could show the world that I had forgotten to focus on who I was inside. The journey ahead wasn't going to be easy. I had made mistakes, and I had lost things along the way. But I wasn't going to let my past define me. I was going to find my way back to who I truly was, the person who had been buried beneath all the expectations, the work, and the broken promises. Thanks, Grandpa, I said, my voice finally steady. I think I'm ready to start over. Grandpa smiled, a soft, knowing smile. It's never too late to begin again, Emma. You've always had what it takes. I had lost the BMW, but in the process, I had found something more important: myself. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but I wasn't going to run from who I was anymore. I had nothing left to prove to anyone. I just needed to be true to myself. Sometimes, we lose things to realize what really matters, and sometimes, it's the things we thought we lost that help us find ourselves.